Look around your room, and you will see a world summoned into existence by a silent, unremarkable monolith. We marvel at the sleek architecture of our smartphones and the staggering complexity of the internet, yet the true architect of our modern existence is a simple, corrugated metal box. Before this silent vanguard conquered the oceans, international commerce was a chaotic, agonizingly slow endeavor. Ships spent more time tethered to docks than traversing the waves, while armies of laborers painstakingly loaded barrels, sacks, and wooden crates by hand. The cost of moving goods was a formidable barrier that kept local economies isolated and global ambitions firmly anchored to the shore. The friction of this archaic system demanded a radical solution, a vision that materialized through a trucking entrepreneur named Malcolm McLean. In the 1950s, he stared at the congested docks and recognized a glaring inefficiency. The constant manual transferring of break-bulk cargo was bleeding time and capital. His concept was deceptively basic yet logistically terrifying to implement. Instead of moving the cargo, he proposed moving the entire vessel holding the cargo. This required engineering a standardized unit that could detach from a truck chassis, swing seamlessly onto a ship's deck, and lock securely into place without ever being opened. That 1956 invention of the standardized shipping container fundamentally rewired the geometry of transportation. By establishing universal dimensions and corner fittings, this modular unit became the physical equivalent of digital code, interoperable across trucks, trains, and ocean freighters. The engineering genius lay not in the steel itself, but in the ruthless elimination of friction across multiple modes of transit. Loading a vessel transformed from a chaotic game of three-dimensional geometry into a rapid mechanized ballet of gantry cranes. A ship that once required weeks to load could now be turned around in mere hours. Yet, the triumph of efficiency carried a devastating human cost for those whose livelihoods depended on the old chaos. The rise of port automation sparked fierce resistance from longshoremen unions, who rightly foresaw the decimation of their historic trade. Entire working-class neighborhoods that had thrived on the bustling docks were hollowed out as the demand for manual labor plummeted. The grueling, dangerous work of stevedoring was replaced by the solitary precision of crane operators suspended high above the concrete. This was the painful birth of a new paradigm, where human muscle was systematically engineered out of the logistics equation. As the docks emptied of men, the oceans filled with unprecedented volume, triggering a global trade revolution. The dramatic collapse in freight costs shattered the geographical barriers to manufacturing, allowing corporations to source components from across the planet. Economies rapidly industrialized, transforming into manufacturing powerhouses solely because shipping their products to distant markets was suddenly cheaper than producing them locally. The container effectively shrunk the globe, turning disparate national markets into a single, highly integrated economic machine. The shadow of McLean's early vision soon encompassed the entire planet. The modern supply chain evolved into a sprawling, hyper-optimized nervous system, dictating the flow of everything from essential medicines to fast fashion. Cities that failed to adapt their infrastructure to these massive steel leviathans withered, while obscure coastal towns with deep-water harbors exploded into vital geopolitical hubs. The architecture of global commerce was entirely redrawn, not by treaties or wars, but by the relentless mathematical logic of standardized dimensions. To accommodate this exponential growth, civilization began constructing megastructures dedicated solely to the worship of logistics. Today's deep-water ports are sprawling ecosystems of cybernetics, where autonomous straddle carriers glide silently across tarmac, guided by algorithms rather than human hands. The vessels themselves have mutated into floating behemoths, some capable of carrying over 24,000 containers in a single voyage. Engineering these colossal ships requires overcoming immense structural stresses and hydrodynamic drag, pushing marine architecture to the absolute limits of material science. However, this hyper-efficiency has bred a fragile and often perilous dependency. The sheer scale of this mechanized network masks profound vulnerabilities, where a single miscalculation can paralyze industries worldwide. Furthermore, the environmental toll of these diesel-burning leviathans remains a staggering, largely invisible burden on the planet's atmosphere and oceans. We engineered a system so vast and seamless that its disruptions and its emissions are easily ignored by the very consumers who demand its constant motion. This systemic invisibility extends to the modern seafarers who maintain the heartbeat of this global circulatory system. Confined to massive, highly automated vessels for months on end, these small crews experience profound isolation, detached from the very societies they sustain. The standardized box successfully hid the messy reality of production and transport from the consumer's gaze, creating a dangerous psychological disconnect. We demand instantaneous delivery of cheap goods, entirely oblivious to the vast mechanized orchestration and the silent human endurance required to fulfill that expectation. As we look toward an era of fully autonomous shipping and AI-driven logistics, the legacy of that initial mid-century disruption continues to unfold. The humble metal box proves that the most world-altering technologies are rarely the most glamorous. They are the ones that quietly rewrite the rules of interaction. It stands as a profound testament to the anthropic principle of our built environment, reminding us that we shape our tools and then our tools shape us. The unseen impact of the shipping container will echo through our economies and our landscapes long after the steel itself has rusted away.